I got so much motherfucking design on right now.
Break it down, bring it back, make it clap. I got 3 old thoughts, new block, where that thing. Bitches on my line, and you know.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, my name is Bunga Olivia F. In this video, I will read an analytical exposition text entitled Telecommunication Services. History of telecommunication services. Communication across a distance of more than a few miles was made possible by the invention of electricity-based telecommunication services by Samuel Morse in 1838. He invented the telegraph as a device that used electrical signal transport over a copper wire and developed the Morse alphabet as standard way of expressing language in electric signal. Later, the telegraph was also fit to use radio wave for transmission. The telephone, invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1879, made it possible to communicate by voice. The basic operating principle of the telephone has changed little between then and now, but the technology for transmitting the electromagnetic signal from the telephone has changed drastically. Initial communication was based on overhead wires that all connected to a manually operated exchange. Introduced in most countries around 1900, the first electromechanical switch appeared in the 1930s. They allow subscribers to dial their own numbers, thus replacing the need for telephone switch operator. However, in most Western countries, it wasn't until the 1960s that all the manually operated switches were replaced by automatic switches. In fact, some countries still rely on manually switched network today. Since 1966, when the first telecommunication satellite was launched, telecommunication between continents have grown enormously, and international transmission of television images has become possible. Introduction of multiple suppliers. Historically, creating telecommunication services in individual countries was a task of each government. The government operated a ministry or public body that was responsible for offering telecommunication services, which were seen as utilities that should be provided to everyone at the same price, usually regardless of the location where the user was located. There were also technical reasons to keep the complete network in the hands of one party. The technical solution had not been found to enable the use of bottleneck resources, such as the infrastructure, by more than one party. The service offering consisted of a limited number of services that the government deemed necessary and beneficial for the user in the country. The government also controlled the quality of the services offered. If services were offered by a separate state-owned company, or one that was not state-owned but considered monopolies, requirements for the telecommunication services were placed on the company. Thus, one supplier environment still creates problems. In countries where the situation still exists, the examination of a telecommunication services offering in that country is easy task as only one information source is needed. In the early 1980s, some governments started to change that situation, and multiple suppliers emerged in a few countries from that time and in more countries into the 1990s. Telecommunication services. Telecommunication services can be categorized in different ways. Distinction: thus are often used are public versus private services, data versus voice services, and wireline versus wireless services. Most, but not all, services can be categorized with this distinction. Figure 4.1 shows an overview of private network and private network based on public network, with none of the categorized. Services of both public and private network are commonly used by international organizations. The difference in essence stems from the ownership of and access to the network, which can be public and private in practice. There are also services that are private but are implemented on public facilities. They are called virtual private network. In the case that telecommunication operator usually implements the technological measure on a public network to give the virtual private network user access to seemingly private networks.